All right. We see Raja on top at 11-2. Esper Blink on the bottom. Justin. Is it Prowess 11-2 as well? And ideally, the player who wins this match can draw in next round. Not a guarantee, but ideally. And Raja on the play with a tap land. And we got Raja on 6 and Justin on 5.
Oof.
So the decks are also feeling the pressure, not just the players themselves. So Suspir in for 1 on Justin, back over to Raja's way.
And, honestly, that sometimes comes up in a feature match. Like, a lot of times, especially with a deck like Is It Prowess, where you're like, okay, I keep a lot of one-landers on the play or the draw, really. When you're in the feature match, like, you get that little extra pressure, be like, man, if I don't play my second land, like, I'm going to embarrass myself on camera. Some players can get that in their head, and that is a detriment. You should still just keep whatever hands make sense,
All right, so we see a tapped MDFC land here, the backside of Witch Enchanter.
Yeah.
As you were saying, possible turn 3 Flicker Wisp. This could answer a Steel Cutter. So back Justin's way.
Big game.
Justin's going to take a second and think about this.
And there's no real interaction with the 1 mana except Solitude Ephemerate it. So, if Justin does go for like a slick shot show off here, could be train wreck situation where Raja could clean them both up if he does have that. And, I like this play a lot more. It's just much safer in the face of that. Doesn't have the 0 drop, though, to get it really going.
Yeah, very modest draw on Justin's side. Just, this is a standard legal draw right now. Steam Vents, Cutter, and Suspir. So no X trigger. Not too fast, and now Raja's way, we're going to see Marsh Flats, and we could see possibly that Flickerous player, just a passive a turn.
A lot less exciting. I think Raja would love to make sure that Corey Steelcutter doesn't get any free value here, as you don't have a very good way to interact with it. At instant speed, there's only 1 March of Otherworldly Light, and I think this would be a sorcery-style play from Raja if he had it.
All right, so Justin has successfully navigated the minefield to get Corey Steelcutter active, assuming there's multiple spells, which if there isn't, Justin's got a real problem.
Yep.
So I'm going to take a second and think it through. Big match. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, could easily be, these players are at the top of the standings as far as having very good breakers. So winning into a Pro Tour, whether you're, Raja, who's been to the Pro Tour multiple times, plays at the RIW store, that has just sent out a ton of amazing players. Connor Mullally, Corey Burkhart, and they have the pedigree of being around for a very long time. It's still exciting to make it to a Pro Tour, whether it's your first or, your 15th Pro Tour. And Justin, maybe not as well known to us, but still, a Pro Tour could mean absolutely everything to him as well.
All right, starting off with a Suspir. And that experience really helps in the spot, right?
Yes.
When people ask me, I made my first top 8, I was so nervous. It's like, well, your second one won't be as bad.
Yep.
Once you've done it before, the more you've done it, the more comfortable you feel. So we'll see Suspir here. We'll see a nice Lava Dart. Trigger Steel Cutter. And again, Justin kind of navigating the minefield of like what Raja could have at instant speed here, what next turn could look like as well. So we see the dart, and we see a pretty modest attack. This is 6 damage.
And now here's the big question. Solitude Ephemerate, I just saw 1 Solitude when Raja flipped there. Solitude Ephemerate was not a good play next turn. Raja definitely wanted to get as much value as possible. It's a great play right now.
Yeah, whenever you're able to pop off 2 creatures and keep the Solitude, it is absolutely backbreaking.
Or you could kill all 3 creatures, gain 3, and that's how this turn could end, with Raja going to 18 and sweeping Justin's board completely.
All right, so we see a fetch here for a Swamp, which would not really be part of that Solitude equation. So let's see what Raja's up to. 1 black mana, Fatal Push on a Suspir. That's 1 down. And otherwise, just going to take the 4 damage. So, taking the damage. And end step, we see a Philia. So, trying to get that blink setup going. And coast is clear. Justin is tapped out. Only 1 Lava Dart in the bin, unfortunately, not 2.
Yeah. And does have the ability of just, even if you're not doing any blink shenanigans with the Overlord or anything like that, just attack, kill a monk, good value.
Philia is so good.
So good.
Unbelievable 2-drop.
And it's even cooler that it is the likeness of one of our buddies, Michael Majors' dog.
Yes, that is really cool.
That is really sweet.
All right, so mana for Raja here. A lot of great options with Philia in play. Philia cannot bounce lands, though. Yeah, non-land permanents.
Yep.
So couldn't hit that the Witch Enchanter. But
yep.
Overlord, a fine constellation prize. Got to mill 4, pick up a creature. And Solitude or Catcher Most, both excellent choices. So this turn's definitely going Raja's way.
Absolutely. And we can get another Overlord activation. So depending on how many depending on how many white cards you have in your hand, you could do something tricky like attack, blink out the Overlord, Solitude before it comes back into play, and then return the same Solitude.
That is very, very powerful. Yeah. And again, we're going to have a 5/5 left over too. So this Overlord being able to come in as an actual creature for 2 mana is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And again, Justin's draw was kind of modest here, kind of a standard power level draw almost, missing a 3rd land too. So a lot of uphill battle for Justin coming forward.
Definitely. And I mean, definitely modest in the sense that, remember, we mulled to 5.
That is true.
Always brutal there. And Raja with a mulligan as well. But Raja's going to be mulliganing to a lot more interaction. There's cards like Relic, Psychic Frog even, Thoughtseize, even Emperor of Bones. Like, these are cards that are good Magic cards, but they're not the thing you need to power mulligan to in this matchup. You want to mulligan to your Solitudes, your Overlords, and your Fatal Pushes to deal with the early onslaught.
All right, so here comes the doggo. Going to blink out the Overlord. I believe we should get a counter there too, right? When it comes back.
Yep.
There we go.
When
So
it comes back.
It'll be a 3/3. So we got 5/5 Overlord in play. Some more cards going to the bin. Catcher Most goes to hand. Emperor also in play. So
And Emperor got to eat a Lava Dart, which is not nothing.
it was too soon for me. I couldn't
it hurt you? Yeah.
Couldn't process my grief there.
That's fair.
So now comes Justin's way. Now Raja is at 8.
Yeah.
And this deck is capable of putting out a pretty crazy burst of damage, things like mutagenic growth or like that. Is that possible this turn?
Definitely possible here. And especially with all the slick shots we knew about, with the Lava Dart, being exiled, that makes it a lot tougher to go off. But I mean, even slick shot, mutagenic growth, that is 5, so you are so close to winning this. And, we kind of saw this in our match with Oscar. Like, Oscar had what we thought was a pretty good matchup against that domain aggressive deck, but the Blink decks still take a lot of damage from your lands.
And they take time too, right? They're getting engines going, getting these cool things happening, but not necessarily winning the game outright.
Yeah, exactly. And while Ketramos has that indestructible lifelink body on it, it's not just, a Baneslayer on the battlefield. It's to make your own Baneslayer. You got to work for that.
All right, it's Justin taking a long time here to ponder options. Going to figure this one out. Trying to find a way out, kind of in the squeeze where if Raja gets another good turn here, I mean, we're talking Overlord triggers, blinks, Emperor of Bones, Solitudes, all sorts of stuff happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And could just, maybe finish this game off if you can exile the right creature in the yard, which I'm not sure exactly. If that's another Overlord right next to the Ketramos in the yard, you could eat the Overlord, adapt, put an Overlord into play. That's 9, 10, 11, 12, 17 damage that Raja can attack with next turn while simultaneously blinking out a blocker from Justin. So Raja is setting up for the win next turn.
Yeah,
if Justin's not too safe,
Yeah. And Feeling against these monks is very good. The ability to kind of eat a monk, kind of undo the damage that Corey Steelcutter is doing.
Yeah.
In a kind of a weird way, just a 2/2, but it does negate the card in that manner. So here's Preordain. Going to take a little peek.
Might be a dexterity error with the Ponder, or, maybe wanted to keep one of the cards but already put it on bottom. Just double check and make sure they do not make a mistake. And, hey, this is another moment where nerves come into play. I mean, this is a huge moment in both of these players' career.
Big difference between paper Magic and online Magic, where you are physically handling cards. Things happen, things fall, no Chaos Orb dexterity stuff going on.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun. But, all right, so.
That's a word for that.
All right, so Spear number 2.
Okay.
Connor's going to trigger, so a little bit of an army here. You see the proper monk moving into place. So there are 4 viable attackers, and they are all currently at 2 power.
So now the 1 mana, we could have Lightning Bolt. We could have Lava Dart number 2. Could have Lightning Bolt plus Mutagenic Growth. I imagine Justin doesn't have that many cards left in hand, though. It looks like just 1 with the way he flashed it there.
Yeah. All right, working through it. Really looking to find a win this turn because things get ugly next turn.
Yeah, just lethal. Oh, all right, my goodness.
There's Lava Dart. I love me a good Lava Dart. 1 damage on Emperor Bones.
And I know I saw 2 Solitudes in hand for Raja. you know, if you have to exile the other one to the one, at least that one Solitude is available.
All right. Well, listen, I called my shot here. Sack Mirage Mountain to Judgment Lava Dart.
Oof.
I am a happy man. So more prowess triggers.
And you got to separate it a little bit. The ones on the right have 3 total prowess. Those ones have 2. That's what it looks like here. So 1 blocker. The most you can block is the Swift Spear on the farthest right. Take 4 from the Monk. Take 6 from the other one. So this is well and truly lethal even with the Overlord blocking. But with the 1 Solitude, this should be enough to keep Raja alive. But losing the Emperor Bones meant -9 damage from Raja next turn with the hopes of winning the game next turn.
All right, so Overlord's going to jump in. And Justin's out of cards here, so there's no more potential mutagenic growths or anything like that. Just going to eat Swift Spear. And then, like you're saying, we got Solitude coming in. And it looks like, yeah, you are correct. 2 Solitudes, only 1 white card, though, so only 1 Solitude available. And there goes Ketramos.
I like keeping the other Solitude. That makes a lot of sense.
So take out the larger of the monks.
And I guess they're the same size monks with the Quarry Steelcutter, but the Swift Spear on the left is the only 3-power one, so.
All right, so taking out the one that has Trample, which is possibly relevant for future turn. Makes sense.
And it already is equipped, so, you know, Justin would have to use that mana to move the Quarry Steelcutter over.
All right, so we got 5 damage across total. 6 damage, sorry, with the Prowess Trigger. All right, down to 1 on Raja's side.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Justin's all in here. And honestly, I like that play.
Yeah.
You know, like, this game, the longer this game goes, the worse it gets. So just get in, do your thing, and hope you can finish it off.
And now, you know, a couple options already available. We could attack with the Overlord, get back a Solitude, have Solitude available. You could Solitude your own Overlord, gain 5 if there is a burn spell on top. Or you could attack with Fila, kill the Monk, leave back a blocker for the Swift Spear, force Justin to have something if, let's say, Raja drew a white card already, and then could Solitude his own Overlord if need be. Yes. And that's just the face-up options. We don't know exactly what Raja drew, so plenty of things to do.
There's also the permutations of what Overlord can hit as well, too.
Yep.
So, all right, so we're going to see a Impended Overlord here. Flicker Wisp, Solitude, a couple lands. All right, there's Solitude number 2 to hand.
So pretty big game here because now you could attack with both. Fila bounce out the Overlord that's impended to be able to get a blocker. Get another Solitude. I guess then you would have to Solitude Justin's creature unless we find like a 2-drop to play, like a Psychic Frog.
All right. Here's a... Pulling out the white card, pulling out Psychic Frog.
I think getting something that can be put onto the battlefield here is more important than the 3rd Solitude. Because now Raja has to point a removal spell at one of these 1-power creatures. Unless I guess we already have it locked up to get 1 more Solitude. So this is perfectly reasonable. Now we have 2 Solitudes available. And now Raja can react to a burn spell. That's exactly what he's lining up here. If you have to be proactive, and then if Justin, you know, has a burn spell that he can just cast in response to a Solitude, that's how Raja loses this game. But the fact that he can now Solitude a creature, block with the Overlord on the other one of Justin's threats, and then if Justin goes to, let's say, Lightning Bolt Raja's face, then Raja can Solitude his own Overlord.
All right, so we're going to see a Solitude now, it looks like.
Okay.
So, Solitude pitch cast. No, maybe not. Ketramos going to get out of here.
Okay.
And goodbye, Monastery Spear. It's going to be a little bit of life for Justin, who's now at 10. Going to 11, it looks like.
And now this is Raja saying, yeah, if you have a burn spell, I can Solitude my own tapped Overlord. And if you don't, I get to win the game.
Yeah, so...
Played by Raja.
Right, covering all the bases.
Yeah.
Right? You know, what's Raja said, okay, what do I lose to here? What's the fear? You know, burn spell, the creature in play. And let's see what Justin drew here.
Yeah, and I don't know, like...
I mean, some sort of combo draw of like maybe a cantrip into something, or probably not Mishra's Bauble.
Probably not that. I would think the best thing would be is like, you know, Yeah, it's not going to work. But Preordain into a Lightning Bolt or a Lava Dart, something like that.
All right, so Raj takes down a really, really close game one at one precarious life point.
Yeah.
And is 1 win away from locking up his top 8 spot.
And that was on a mulligan to 5 from Justin, too. So let's keep that in mind, that game looked tough with Justin only having 5 cards.
Yep, so looking at Justin's sidebar, we see 2 Abhorrent Oculus. Now, that's for the grindy matchups.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then we got 4 Consigned Memory, 3 Prismatic Ending, 1 Spell Pierce, 2 Spell Snare, 1 Surgical, 1 Heat, and 1 Wear Tear. How is Justin going to approach these more grindy games?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the Oculus. That looks pretty solid to me. Consigned to be able to counter the Solitude ability looks pretty solid. But at the end of the day, these prowess decks are kind of like, is it Phoenix and Pioneer, for instance? Like, you do not want to adjust your deck too much because then you take away the core of the deck and all of a sudden you're not aggressive enough. And Raja's deck is better at being that mid-range style deck already.
And then on Raja's side, we see a true mastery of the game here. Only 9 sideboard cards. Doesn't even care. I'm in. I'm going to do my thing. So 4 Consigned Memory, 1 Strategic Betrayal, 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Vindicate, 2 White Orchid Phantom. And then let's look at our sheet here. We also see 2 High Noon, 2 Wrath of Disguise, and 2 Clarion Conqueror.
Yeah, he does have all 15 cards. Our graphic is just wrong on that. I was going to say, if Raja is, playing a win-in with only 9 cards, like, just give him the trophy.
Yeah. That's confidence.
High Noon is the card that was definitely excellent here in Standard to answer these decks. It ports over very well into Modern for these style of decks. Wrath of the Skies looks pretty solid to me as well. That's probably the main thing that I'm looking at from Raja's side.
All right, so before we get into game number 2 here, we're going to look at our flash sale, folks. And it's ending tomorrow, so you got to make sure you hop in and get at it now. Select Magic promotional singles, 10% off on StarCityGames.com. Love these flash sales happening during the event. You're watching right now. Don't be shy. Hop on and check out the cards and see if there's something there you want.
Yeah, absolutely. What promo cards live under the sea?
SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants. All right, so I can't promise those are on sale. But check it out, StarCityGames.com. 10% off flash sale. Ends Monday. All right, so we see open deck lists here, both players. Checking out the lists, checking them twice, and making sure that they got something nice to do in sideboarding. And a lot of pressure here.
A lot of pressure. And, we'll look at the clock here. 32 minutes. Is it Prowess is not going to time that often, but that was a long game. And you know what happens when you're under the lights, you're playing a win-and-in? The clock becomes like almost not real to you during those at least first game and a half. You kind of don't even think about it. You're so hyper-focused on not making a mistake on camera that all of a sudden you could be making the biggest mistake of them all by not playing fast enough, Yeah,
we've seen it a lot, actually. In past Spotlight Series events and RCs where the late rounds, the clock creeps up, and we're like, let's go here. This clock is ticking, folks. We do not want to take a draw, especially, winning in the last round where you have to win. You cannot draw. So, very, very important. And this is a big one for Justin, too, here, where you're playing a win-in, you're on camera, you mulligan to 5. You play a game, you get your opponent to 1 life. Those are all just we're all human beings, and that you feel that oh my God, is this not my day? Is it my day? And you gotta push through.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all got to kind of remember Emperor Bones chomped on 1 damage.
Oh, Lava
Exiled
Dart.
that Lava Dart.
That is right, yep.
And you got to think, Justin only had 2 lands at the time, but if we sacked that, we played land 2 after that. I mean, it was almost 1 billion% not correct to sack it, but that's the razor-thin margins that we were on for that game.
Yeah, it's a very common refrain to hear of did I miss a point somewhere? They were 1. Did I miss a point? And we have Lava Dart in your deck. That is the point a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And can equate to a lot more than 1 point half the time as well.
Yes. All right, so we will see Justin on the play here, which is obviously huge for this Izzet deck. This is a big-time play draw deck. We saw it in Standard, where one of the biggest issues in the Izzet mirror was trying to break serve on the play because it is that powerful on the play.
Yeah.
So Justin going to be on the play. Now, of course, if Justin does win this game, we'll have to win a game on the draw as well. So much work to be done.
Especially with this sideboard configuration. High Noon, when you play it as your second, or when you play it on turn 2 after your opponent's already Corey Steelcuttered into a bobble, Sure, it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still good, but it is not amazing. But you play it before Corey Steelcutter comes down, that's real good.
Yeah, definitely night and day. So what's Raja thinking here? I'm kind of focusing on Justin, Justin's, what's Justin's got to do. Raja's been here before, right? So
Yeah.
this is kind of business as usual on a day at the office.
Yeah, absolutely. Raja's been to the Pro Tour plenty of times, dominates other circuits out there as well on a regular basis. So, yeah, this is normal. Be in the feature match. He's always very cool, calm, and collected. He's been doing this for years. So, I think he is just thinking, what do I need to prioritize in this match? Like, he's thinking about the game for sure, and maybe Justin is as well, but I've been in those spots where I'm very nervous, where I'm focusing on like, okay, God, just please don't let me mulligan again. I'm thinking about those thoughts instead of like, all right, these are the kind of things I should be looking for. I should be trying to make sure X, Y, and Z doesn't happen. You do that kind of thing. That's the more healthy thoughts to have at this moment.
It's a big part of the game too. You see Justin take a mulligan here. You a big part of the game is managing yourself. I'm always been a big proponent of the mental game. Of you're not just playing against your opponent, you're playing against yourself too. And when you get to these spots in a tournament where things are getting tense, it's those encroaching thoughts. Oh, here I am mulliganing again. I'm sure everyone watching has played a game on Arena or in paper or whatever, and telling themselves, "Oh, mulliganing again." You know? And it's a very dangerous line to go down where you start thinking like that and you stop thinking otherwise. Your brain power is going towards the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've been in this spot from Justin so many times. I just lost a game where I mulliganed to Oblivion. Then I take a mulligan again, and it's just like, why? Why me?
Right.
You get those bad kind of toxic thoughts going in your brain instead of just, hey, I saw a hand, I made the correct mulligan decision, and that's what you should be taking away from that. And looks like Raja Sulaiman decided to take a mulligan as well.
That does feel better.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like there's some, fairness in the world. Well, I mulligan, you mulligan too.
Yes,
you're on even footing. So
gentlemen here.
Yep. It is easy to clock time though. All this shuffling, we are now sub 30 minutes with potentially 2 games to go.
Yep.
So keep an eye on that one.
But to be fair, the games Justin win, they go pretty quick most of the time.
That is true. All right, so let's try it again. Both players looking at 6 cards. Justin, of course, first to act here on the mulligan train. Looks like cards going to the bottom, so 6 for Justin.
And I saw High Noon up there, as well as an Emperor of Bones. Temporary Lockdown as well? Is that what I saw? Maybe I'm just so used to seeing Temporary Lockdown answer standard. Is it Prowess? But no, it doesn't look like those are in the 75.
Burned into your brain.
Yes. But High Noon, Emperor of Bones, I think there's a Fila as well, so a solid start here from Raja.
It is going to be cool to see the difference, between standard and modern, where High Noon on the draw against the deck playing the free spells with a cutter, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So we could see a bunch of power already in play with High Noon before High Noon can come down. So
yeah, it would also change the texture, especially when Justin's on the draw. Like, you think about if you have 2 baubles, and you're on the draw, you have Corey Steelcutter, 2 baubles, 2 lands, for instance.
Yeah.
Are you like, oh no, should I just play these to get my cards, to get my value, maybe sacrifice them, look at the top of your deck, try to find a Spell Pierce to answer it? There's a lot of that stuff that would happen on the draw. On the play, though, you wait for turn 2, you just fire them both off. Pretty easy peasy there.
All right, so turn 1, Preordained from Justin. Not the start that this deck's looking for. Really wants to get on the board. Hopefully it's going to be a good turn 2. We're going to go Raja's way. We see a Delta and a simple passive a turn.
And now Justin kind of wins either way if he plays a creature here. The fact that Polluted Delta would take 3 damage to Fatal Push a creature, or, if you don't, Raja just gets to only take 1, do a Surveil. So this is a good turn to do some pressure. Preordained to start it off is definitely not what Justin wanted here.
Yeah, however bad Preordained on turn 1 is, it's got to be a lot worse on turn 2. Justin's certainly the beatdown here. So that's a nice mountain. Preordained's a great card. Was obviously banned for a long time, but now just passing back, we see a Surveil land for Raja, and Raja giving Raja time to set up.
Yeah, and
it is scary.
And it's High Noon time. There's no way Raja's not playing that High Noon right now, as it just looks phenomenal on this battlefield. Every single card in Justin's deck looks a lot worse. Slick Shot Show Off is going to attack for 1, maybe 3, 5 if you mutagenic growth it, but every single play is going to be so much more measured from Justin.
Yeah, and unlike in Standard, there are no Into the Flood laws.
Yeah.
If High Noon's in play, it is going to stay in play. There are spell snares and spell pierces in Justin's board, but of course one mountain up here, so it's High Noon, partner.
Yep. And the one thing that we do actually have from Justin that's even better than Into the Floodmaw is these prismatic endings and wear tears. So remember, day 2 is an open deck list event. So, I mean, if you see High Noon, what else are these wear tear and prismatic endings for? So I bet they are coming in.
All right, so here's iteration. So a lot of setup on Justin's side. Not a lot of threats so far. Going to get a couple cards here. We see a bubble go to exile, and that one is not castable.
Oh, the classic expressive iteration when you need a third land, and when you don't hit it, you just feel horrible.
Yeah, and usually Bobble's the buyout there.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I hit a card I can play, whatever, it's fine. Not this time.
Yeah, so High Noon has already replaced itself. So I mean, it's already fantastic. It's already countered a card from your opponent. And now Raja does not care about playing one spell a turn, and looks like he's going to have that end step Fila. And the nice thing about that is, well, Justin's going to play something, right? So Fila can't die at Raja's or at Justin's end step, almost assuredly. So yeah, there can be a removal spell during Raja's turn, but that's when he can also have cards like Ephemerate to protect it.
All right, looks like another expressive here. And found the land, which I guess is a little bit of a sigh of relief for Justin. But
and the white land. So if we do have wear tear, that kind of thing, that could be the best possible hit.
All right, so Sacred Foundry goes in untapped. So possibly signifying the wear of the untapped Sacred Foundry.
Yep.
Maybe a removal spell, but here comes the doggo. No action available to Justin on his turn because we are under High Noon. But passing back to Raja, looks like an upkeep pause here maybe?
No, I think Raja has drawn. Okay. I think Justin thought about it, so there's probably some interaction. But, if Raja goes like Impending Overlord, well, if you get to Lightning Bolt the dog, now there's no response Raja can have. High Noon does have that ability to prevent that as well.
All right, so there you go. There's an Overlord. Picks up a Ketramose. 5 counters on. I imagine Raja's going to combat, and Justin will have something to say about that.
I would think so.
All right, so goodbye, doggo. Lightning Bolt fries him. And no spells for Raja. We are under High Noon, so 1 spell each. Overlord goes to 4. And now back Justin's way. And Justin has some work to do, but has a lot of cards.
Yes.
Those early turns were a little rough as far as not doing anything proactive, but that was a lot of setup.
Agreed. Now we're going to be looking for the white cards here, the prismatic endings, the wear tears. That's how Justin wants to start the turn because, well, if you start with anything else, that's how your turn ends.
Well, a shocked Steam Vents here screams that this is going to be a decent turn for Justin.
Yes.
So thinking it through, a lot of cards in hand, and there you go. Prismatic ending is the first spell. High Noon, no longer High Noon. It's about 1:30 now.
Yeah,
1:30 in the afternoon.
Half past.
Yeah, tea time. So High Noon's gone, and now Justin is unlocked with a lot of cards in hand.
But man, High Noon already just did a great job. It prevented a monk, it countered a bobble, and it just slowed down Justin enough where Raja's untapping with 18 life after this fetch land and 5 mana. I mean, that is exactly what he's looking for.
All right, so here is said fetch. Going to go down to 18. I don't see a Surveil of some kind. We got 2 Surveil lands in Raja's deck, or just 1?
Let's see. So usually they play 2.
Always an interesting number.
2 of them, yep.
All right, so a little Surveil. So valuable, having how many Surveils do you have in these grindier games? So, gotta think about it, though. And we are, time is ticking a little bit. This is definitely a much slower pace game than expected. And, I mean, if Justin gets to deal with the High Noon, get set up like this, we could see a big burst of damage on future turns.
Yep.
But, definitely a slower game one than would be anticipated. But here's the archive. Here's a Surveil.
I did see a Slick Shot Show Off as well in Justin's hand, and I think I saw Corey Steelcutter number 2.
All right, that is a lot of explosive stuff.
Yes. Kind of awkward. They don't work the best together when, which one do you play first? You get the boost with the Slick Shot. Do you get the extra monk? It is not the most, cohesive as far as them working together.
Still the power cards.
Still
though, right?
great.
Those are the cards that you want.
Definitely.
All right, card stays on top. Back Raja's way.
think that might be High Noon number 2.
That would be, there only are 2 copies. So Emperor Bones is going to start. We're going to see exile Philia and go right for it. So adapt the Emperor. Here comes Philia, coming in first sneak attack, exiling the Overlord, getting him a damage, and the Overlord's back and doing a whole bunch. Mill 4 more cards. Get another creature.
My goodness.
And most importantly, Overlord's just big.
Overlord's large. So, I mean, I think this comes down to the turn. If Raja has a Solitude here available for a slick shot show off, the game's over. Raja's looking good to advance to the top 8. If he doesn't, Justin needs to have a heck of a turn and probably has to win the game right now with that slick shot. I don't even know if it's possible. So Philia goes to the exile.
I mean, this is like is capable of putting out a lot of damage. So now, to be fair, I'd imagine some of the more like linear cards like Mutagenic Growth are probably not in the deck for game 2.
I would think those are probably the more commonly taken out cards, but I think the number one thing is Violent Urge. If that's left in, that's the card we would be looking for. But yeah, not starting with Slick Shot Show Off. Those might not be in the deck as well. So just hoping to get these monks going. But man, the Emperor has already done some nice work.
Yeah, so Preordain here. Here are the monks. The fact that there's a 4/4 and a 5/5 on Raja's side is a monumental amount of things to get through. Hard to remove, too.
Yeah. You know, easily possible with a Mutagenic Growth here to be able to, you know, pressure the Overlord or even eat the Overlord. So I almost, no matter what Justin has in hand, I want to see him turn these sideways. You're not winning the game by just chilling, and maybe you have to do a little bluff. Sure, it's risky, but even like a lightning bolt and you get to at least kind of 2-for-1 yourself, lose a monk, but also kill an Overlord.
Takes some serious gall to be bluffing against a great player, win it in on camera, down a game.
Yeah.
You'd love to see that. All right, 2 more mana.
Probably not going to happen when you plot a Slick Shot Show Off, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, if the attack happened now, that would be an incredible bluff. But
yeah,
so they're going to plot and try and go for next turn, which is tough.
And we're down to 9 with 9 power.
Yeah, that is the number of damage that Raj is looking for. 2 things to get through here, of course. Raja goes for a drop. Looking to lock up top 8. Another in a long line of top 8s in Raja's career. Trip back to the Pro Tour. Not too shabby. Couple bucks. Maybe a trophy.
He takes those.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. He accepts them.
Chance to design a secret lair. All right, we're going to combat. In for 9 points of damage and an Overlord trigger. Here are 4 cards. Ketramos. And it's a March. And a March. It's just Ketramos is the only creature.
Looks like it. And yeah, you know, there's Emperor Bones in there as well. And even if this is not winning on the spot, which it definitely looks like it's not, Solitude to be able to blink these out wouldn't work the way you want, as Justin would gain enough life to get out of range. But even just 1 chump block here looks great for Raja's chances.
All right, so we're going to see a Phantom take out the Sacred Foundry. Going to go get a land, taking white spells out of the equation.
And this is maybe not the best card in the matchup, as the lands don't matter that much. But the keyword in that card, first strike.
Yep.
Having a first striker, and then we're back to high noon. Oh, my goodness.
Saddle up, partner. You got a long way to go.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the shuffle, and that's a 1-2 punch, right? Because the white cards are what get rid of high noon.
Yeah.
So the turn would probably need to start there.
That was a devastating turn for Justin, especially, you know, as a choice to plot the Slick Shot Show Off. Totally could have been reasonable. But, man, now this flying first striker eats the show off, too. Like, man, everything is coming up Raja this game.
18 is so much.
So much.
So much life.
I think this is too much to overcome.
Justin's going to figure it out. It's going to take a second here. Everything on the line. Trying to see, is there some way out? We're going to tap 3.
Okay.
Is this an Abhorrent Oculus?
Yep, I suppose it is. That would be the only thing that makes sense.
A really powerful Magic card, but not really what this game is looking for. It's kind of weird because this is a card that would be good normally in a grindy game, but we kind of want the burst damage cards.
Yeah.
You know, like.
But that being said, Oculus is, you know, 2 blockers.
All right, well, there's a Solitude. There's Raja locking up top 8. High noon, yeehaw, partner, right? Great stuff. Other top 8 in a long line for Raja Sulaiman. And taking it down, Justin's not dead yet.